I'm not going to tell anybody that it's easier to no-till, especially those first 5 to 10 years. It can be challenging. If you're in an area like we are where we have too much moisture usually in the spring, you're fighting mud. And you have to learn how to manage that mud. I mean, we've had years that if we hadn't done a little something to move a little soil or something on top to dry it off a little bit on the top, there'd be a lot of years we didn't get it planted. The challenges are a lot of it's the equipment and the attitude, getting the proper equipment set up to plant and learning how to do it. Keeping as much residue as I can is a big thing. The more soybeans you put in there, the less residue you have, because soybeans are a low carbon to nitrogen ratio crop, so the soybeans don't produce a lot of residue, organic matter. This was a prevent plant last year, and we put it into a 4-crop cover crop in the summer, and then hayed it. And this is regrowth, volunteer from the cover crop last year. Prevent plant is, the idea of it is to have something growing out there to capture more sunlight, build more organic matter, have more feeding your biology in the soil, something growing instead of everything being dead. Also, when you have something growing there, you're protecting the soil from wind and water erosion. If it rains on a bare soil like there where there's no residue compared to this, the water is going to hit the residue and break the impact of that drop. We've added wheat to the rotation just for the diversity standpoint. We see on an average 15 bushel better corn yields following with wheat in the rotation, and we'll see 3 to 4 bushel better soybeans with wheat in the rotation compared to a corn bean rotation. We're saving money on fertility, we're saving money on chemicals, we're saving money on being able to plant corn that's not genetically modified. We don't need triple stack corn. All those things add up to the point where the money that we're just breaking even with the wheat, we're making it on the corn and on the beans. So we're planting the beans about 1.25 inches to 1.5 inches deep, and there's one drop probably about every 3 to 4 inches. Corn, it's more important to have your depth and spacing than soybeans, but even soybeans, we're trying to get them all in the ground at a certain depth and a certain spacing to the best of our ability.
All right, and we're standing here out in a cornfield that was soybeans last year, right?
Correct.
Tell us a little bit about this field.
Well, this is part of a long-term rotation, a 5-year rotation. Corn stacked, corn, soybeans, wheat with a cover crop, and then soybeans, and then corn. And so that corn crop's where we're standing right now.
Okay.
So that diversity gives us a lot of opportunity to encourage the soil biology in the soil. And one of those things is the night crawlers, the earthworms. These little mounds right here on the soil,
okay,
is a night crawler burrow.
We got
one right there, one right there. Some of them are really formed well, and you can actually pick it up like the one that I had before, like this one right here. You can actually kind of just scoop it up in your hand, and there's the hole. And it's protected by that residue, and they draw that residue down into their burrow for food and for a house. They build their house that way, and we've put latex over these holes and dug them out, and they go 3-4 feet deep.
So can we stick a shovel in the ground?
Sure.
What's that going to tell us, number one, just by sticking it in the ground?
Well,
what can you tell?
We're having a really good, it's really droughty here right now, but in a tilled field, that would have been harder to do, okay?
Just what you just did.
Just what I just did. I mean,
you did not have to jump on that.
I did not have to jump on that. And so we turn this over and we start looking at the soil, and we see that it's coming apart really easily. I mean, I'm not exerting any pressure on this soil at all. And soil structure is, you know, there's a lot of different forms. There's prismatic, there's angular blocky, there's platy, but it's the granular structure that we're really after. And you can see these strong granules here in my hand, okay? And this soil hasn't been tilled for over 30 years. Yeah, there's a lot of externalities that are really influencing ag today, and the need to grow more corn and beans is one of those. But I think that's going to self-develop, and we're going to work through that.
I think so too. Yeah. This is awesome.
Soil health is a lot like human health, and we need to keep a balance. Same is true with soil. And so weather plays a very important role. We need to keep up the biological activity in those soils. Yeah. That can be with rotation. That can be by adding green crops to the crops that we grow. And just following and making sure that soil does stay healthy. The subsoil is dry, but as long as we keep getting some timely rains, it could be a very, very good year.
I'm Jamie Johnson. This is my husband Brian, and we farm here with his parents, Alan and Mickey Johnson, at Frankfort, South Dakota.
We've been doing it for a long time, and we brought in the cover crop side of things about 14 years ago, I think. And so that's been our little niche that we've added and has helped the productivity of the farm.
We farm corn, soybeans, wheat, cover crops, hay, alfalfa.
We plant corn and beans and wheat. The beans always follow the corn. This year we happen to be putting some beans into some wheat stubble, but the corn will usually follow either soybeans or spring or winter wheat. So it just kind of depends on which field it is, what the rotation is on that field that's specific to that field, and
Water
the overall,
issues
yeah,
also too.
water issues, total acres. So we're planting soybeans into wheat stubble with volunteer winter wheat. My dad went no-till in '87, so it's kind of all I've known because of the water conservation. So, you know, we've just incorporated cover crops into it. When I came back from college, I think we first grew cover crops in 2009. So this year, every single acre of soybeans on our farm will be planted green, and we haven't done that before, but it's kind of a cool milestone because it was never intentional, but it just happened because we realized that was part of the system that was successful, and so we've just increased our cover crop rye acres every year. And then this year we've got, so what wasn't rye is all volunteer winter wheat, but it has very similar principles.
Once again, thanks for joining us here on Homegrown, Senator. You know, there's a lot of different options out there for soil health. And, you know, can you just talk a little bit about the Farm Bill, the negotiations, and some of the things that you're trying to do to help promote soil health and no-till and some of the things like that?
Right. Well, in every Farm Bill, and we do one every 4 or 5 years, there are 12 titles. So it's a comprehensive bill, covers, you know, commodities, trade, credit, livestock, disasters, but there's always a conservation title, and that's the title that really focuses on the issues of soil health and water quality, wildlife habitat, and we've been very involved in the last few years trying to get policies in place that are voluntary, that are incentive-based, and that are producer-driven.
We can talk about soil health. We can give guys ideas to implement those things. We can talk about the long-term sustainability, but if the economics don't work, if it doesn't pencil out, it's not going to be sustainable. You've actually maintained or increased yields and in essence decreased your input costs. Would that be accurate?
Yep, that's true. Now, to be accurate though, I want to say that didn't happen the first 5 years.
Right.
The first 5 years, I would say we lost on an average of 4 to 5 bushel an acre on our corn yield. Soybean yields were pretty even. On the other side, the first 4 to 5 years, I don't think I lost money doing it either because I have less cost as far as trips across the field. Equipment, I don't have any tillage equipment to money invested in and time spent tilling the soil either. And like I told you earlier, I've got 7 quarters that we've been no-tilling a 3-crop rotation since '93. I'm making close to $100 an acre more today on the no-till ground compared to the tilled ground.
The economics behind improving your soil, and you really can improve it over time with different practices. That's going to look different for a lot of people. How does that work?
You know, I think the key thing is looking at where an economic return is and trying that first, because that's what's important. We want to be able to keep farming, number one, and pass that farm on to the family in the future. And so trying something in a small way and then building upon that. We rely on livestock. If we did not have livestock as a customer, it would greatly impact price. They're a huge consumer.
Talk a little bit about the economics. Sometimes I think it's hard to pencil out putting cover crops in, right?
Sure.
So just talk a little bit about those things.
The economics of it, hey, we don't own tillage equipment. We don't need the very large horsepower tractor. We need one large enough to pull our planting equipment. And we put a lot less hours on that equipment.
Yep.
I know many farmers that use no-till and reduced till and soil health. They say that their tractors maintain their resale value a lot better because they're putting less hours on them. A lot of those farmers say, yeah, we change oil once a year because we put less than 100 hours on our tractor. So the economics, I think, are there definitely for that. And then the time investment. The amount of time you spend out here is greatly reduced. Some have likened it to, oh, you taking the easy route because you're not out there as much. But really, it's the wise route. It takes wisdom, it takes education and learning, and it's a continual process. I'm learning something almost every day.
What are some of the challenges that you went through starting to no-till?
Yeah, when we started, or my dad started this journey down that road, we didn't have a lot of information. We had to go to meetings. We didn't have the internet even. And now there's a huge resource like the Growing Connections app, the Soil Health Coalition. Get on there and ask questions. I mean, the farmers that are doing these practices, they want to share their knowledge and tap into that knowledge. So we didn't have that, so the challenge was learning. It's all a learning process. We're all akin to the way that our you know, our ancestors did things, and the family, my great-grandfather settled here, and you know, the plow was all that they had. And so now we're changing that technology, so we have to learn a different way. It is a learning process. And so there's a lot of resources available for that. But yeah, at the beginning, you know, what do we put on our planter? How do we modify that old planter? Today, the new planters are coming, they're heavy enough. And they have the down pressure capability and the residue management capability and the fertile closing capability. So those are the challenges 30 years ago, but today that is lessened.
Kind of the goal of the no-till system is to conserve moisture, and it also protects it from wind and water erosion. So, you know, you get these days where the wind's blowing 50 plus mile an hour, we don't have any soil moving because it's protected by the residue on top, the soil armor. We have our rotation that works. We always follow corn with soybeans. We don't always plant soybeans into wheat stubble, but this year it worked because of the acres of corn we had on the rest of the farm, and we knew that this wheat stubble was going to be a little on the wetter side with the winter we had. And so beans in a high residue environment like this will be fine because we're not destroying all of the residue. We're not going to have black soil at the end of the year. We're still going to have the ground covered.
I've got 7 quarters that we've been no-tilling a 3-crop rotation for since '93, and we have 4 quarters that adjoin it that the landlord wanted it tilled, and that's been tilled. And so I've been doing a side-by-side comparison for 20 years. We had a couple tough years, and he said, I don't want you doing that here. You can do it on yours, but you need to till mine. So I continued to till his, got to the point where we were just about equal with the 3-crop rotation in the no-till system compared to the tillage with irrigation water. And our yields are just about identical. And it should not be that way, you know. Every year I would give him a printout with the yields of all my fields, his along with mine. And then last winter he came to me and says, I know the only reason you till is because I told you that you had to till mine, but he says, I guess you don't have to till mine anymore if you don't want to. So it took him 20 years, but he finally decided that what I was doing was working.
Soil testing is a key factor, but that's a beginning point. Discussing with folks that, whether that's university folks or private entities that deal with soil and know the background and have the science and can work with farmers and landowners to make sure that they are following best practices.
So I'm gonna assume, being a soil guy with SDSU, you do some soil testing here.
Yeah.
What can you tell me about your organic matter or the other soil properties that you test for?
Well, on this farm in particular, which was extremely eroded throughout the decades since it was plowed, has gone from areas of very low organic matter, 1% to 3% in those, and then the better soils that were 2-3% have gone to 4 and 5 and 6%.
As I got into it more, we started to realize some of the other benefits that I had never even crossed my mind, as far as increased water infiltration and just better soil health, better the ability for the soil to hold itself together, increasing the organic matter. I have soil tests from the 80s when we were doing full tillage that it ranged in the 2.2% organic matter, and now we are in the It varies from year to year, but 3.7 to 4.5.
Wow, doubled it.
Over 45 years. I mean, over 30 years it took to build that up to that level. We kind of seemed like we peaked out at year 15 to 20. It quit going up. With the rotation I'm in now, we seem like that 3.7 to 4.5 is about the most we get. I'd probably have to change my rotation and get more high residue crops to continue to build it higher. I've planted in really wet years, I've planted in really dry years. Over a 10-year period of time, you see a lot of different scenarios. You learn how to make it work better, you know.
Energy is a part of farming now, because not only do we produce food and fiber, we produce fuel. If you're a rancher, you're a farmer, we want you to follow market signals and not have, not being farming for the government.
There's always the next best thing. It's really amazing what you can find and what you can learn. You can learn a lot just by looking.
We're relearning the cycle of life, and it's important. It's kind of like the ocean used to be something that was just undiscovered. We knew more about the moon than we did about underneath the ocean. Now we're starting to pay more attention to what's happening underneath the soil surface, and how important it is to everyone.
Taylor rides just as well as any man.